Welcome back, guys. A lot of these web developers, I know we've been silent for a while, but we're back again. This is season two now. Season two of the Inspire Say channel with some more content to give you guys. I know you've been waiting a long time for some new episodes on .NET Core, on just web development and Azure and stuff. Well, I'm very happy to tell you that we're back with some more exciting stuff to tell you. You can even see my colleague here, Narcisse. Them smiling. Hi, Narcisse.
Hey, so you good? It's really good to
Yeah,
be back.
hey, bro, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. It's been like a hectic, especially this pandemic. It's been really,
Mm,
messing things up. And with the looting going on here in the country in SA, so yeah, we've been really, out of reach, you
yeah,
know.
I understand. But what can we do? We had to focus on our code. That's where we earn our money, I guess.
Yeah, that's just what we just here to do what we love. We just have to do what we love, which is building modern solutions. Because at the end of the day, we are solving problems. Yeah, it's not just about
Mm,
code and typing in random keys and stuff. We have to make our keys useful. That's what Scott said. Remember what Scott said on I think it was Build. Scott said you
yeah,
must not waste your keys, your keystrokes on some useless things. So we're here to solve solutions. And part of that
true.
solution is helping you guys learn how the web or the .NET environment works, right?
Awesome,
So yeah,
awesome.
I'm very
And
excited. I'm very excited
I'm
today.
I'm really glad to join the .NET Friday team. Hey.
Yeah, hey, it's been a while since you've seen me. Yeah, hey, you've always been on the guys with the fancy keys or with AI and machine learning. I'm like, okay. So it's
Yeah,
it's actually nice to see some new faces. It's actually nice.
awesome. Yeah, that's the new changes of season two, new faces here and there. So yeah, I'm sure the audience will get used to it.
Yeah, so before we just jump right into it, let me just give you a rundown on what we'll be doing today. So as you check the poster, the topic is .NET Core versus .NET Framework and a little bit of GitHub. Right? So it's just two separate frameworks, but then they're the same, but then they're separate. We're just going to explain that shortly on what each framework means and how does it differ from the other. Or I personally, I'm a .NET Core person now. Oh, don't get me wrong. I used to love .NET Framework, right? It's a nice framework. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a .NET Core person now, right?
Mm,
So, first of all, let me just give you a rundown on what's like the difference between these two frameworks, right? Just I'm not gonna go right deep into the documentation of the Microsoft Docs. You can do that. That's fine. Like, I'm just gonna give you uh an abstraction of these two things, right? So basically, .NET Framework came out first before .NET Core was a thing. .NET Framework came out first. Like years ago, I probably before I even started coding, before I even had a computer, right? It came out long ago, and then Microsoft upgrades. It's more like an upgraded version of .NET Framework, and then they released .NET Core, which is much more simpler and cleaner. You know, I know I like .NET Core, so I know you're about to say you like a couple of things on framework. You prefer how things are sorted there and there. That's fine, but it's just me, right? It's just me. I like .NET
mm,
Core. Everything is just more simplified and the supports and its documentation. Oh my God, guys, do not sleep on the documentation. Microsoft made sure that they have a ton, and when I say a ton, I mean a ton of documentation available on the Microsoft websites from the official people who made .NET. So I
mm.
don't know what else you might want to find documentation, right? So we're gonna jump in right into that, and yeah, I hope Narcissus, you're excited as I am.
Yeah, bro. I'm also excited to showcase the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework. After all, we grew up with .NET Framework since we learned it on campus and in school and stuff
Hey.
like that. And not everyone is used to .NET Core, so we're here to show them the opportunity about to show them what .NET Core is all about and how they can easily transition from .NET Framework to .NET Core, as you've just mentioned. I hope they'll get a hang of it, I guess.
Hopefully, yeah. I hope everyone's just excited as we are because I'm just like stoked. It's been so long. This build up, this energy build up has been suppressed for so long now. And finally I get to express it. So that's just something else. That is something else.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm
Awesome.
gonna quickly share my screen so we can just jump right into it. I don't know if it's sharing already.
It's already sharing.
Okay,
So I
guys.
see you have your project from last time.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. So I didn't want to waste time and start the entire project from scratch because remember, this channel is for everyone, mostly beginners who don't know how to code, who've never written code in their lives, and those who just started coding. So I didn't want to jump into complex projects and confuse you and everything. So we're gonna pick up from where we left off last time, which was a simple calculator, literally a simple calculator. It only has one class, or should I say model? Only has one class. It takes two parameters, the first number and the second number, and there's a method. Also, have another parameter that stores the total, right? And we have a method called addition, and this method pretty much that's the method that does the heavy lifting. It adds the two numbers that are captured from the user, right? And then we have a controller. And remember what we set up with the controller? The control, like this is MVC, right? We even forgot to tell you that we're still doing this in MVC. This is MVC. And again, so just a quick run back. MVC is a design pattern. MVC is not a library. It's not a framework. It's a design pattern. Oh, the .NET guys like to call it the separation of concerns. I just like to call it that also, where we separate our user interface with our classes, and then there's a controller here, the guy that orchestrates these two existing universes. Because there's the user interface here that displays to the user what the buttons that you click and all of that, and then there's the model here that handles the heavy lifting, where there's methods, where your calculations are handled, where your database reads, updates, and deletes are done. The controller is kind of like in the middle, like it's the guy that knows the guy. It's in the middle. You pretty much click stuff on the user interface. The controller's like, oh, you want to do this? I know a guy. Hey, hello, can you add these two numbers? Right. So that's pretty much what's happening. This is our controller here, and then it only has one action method. An action methods, you can even also look at them as normal methods from classes because they perform a certain task. And then this one calls in takes one parameter, which is numbers, right? Takes one parameter. Numbers is the name of the model or the name of the class. So we're passing it to the controller so that we can access everything inside of it. And then we're passing it through an object. We name our object, and we could have named this anything we want. Could have named this the actual name object, but we named it N. I don't know, for simplicity. In case I have a ton of classes that I'm working with, I know that then if the name of my object is N, I'll know that okay, it stands for numbers, right? Uh, and here, it we literally remember that property I talked about earlier on, the one total. We pretty much calling it now, and then you check here. Here's the difference: you're calling it through an object, through N. Because remember, the purpose of an object, it helps you access stuff inside a particular class. Now, in this case, we accessing stuff inside the numbers class or the numbers model. In MVC, we like to call classes models. But if you hear the term model, just know that that's a class. It's just a simple fancy of saying class. And we're accessing total, and then we're passing it in. We're equating total to our method called addition. This method that holds the calculations and all of that. And then we return view. Right, to return view. Now the view is the name of that view. It's the name of the view that I'll probably show you shortly, right? The view or the user interface. And then mind you, when you're returning the view, you still have to pass in the objects. That's because the view doesn't know anything about the objects. You still need to pass in the name of the objects. Now, some of you might probably wonder, okay, on the return type, how does the return type know which view to render the stuff on, right? Now on MVC, now on .NET, right? Both on .NET Core and .NET Framework. I'm not sure on .NET Framework. Narcisse would unpack that. But on .NET Core, I know that if the name of your action method is the same name as your view, right? I don't know if you can see this. If your action method is the same name as your view, which is display, right? You don't really need to do anything because if you check here, and the name of our action method is display, right? It's display, and then the name of our view is also display. So if your action method is the same name as your view, you don't really need to change anything. It just automatically knows. So as soon as you say return view, it's gonna go look for a view named display, right? So if our view had a different name, we were gonna pass it in here. We were gonna pass it in here. Probably pass it in. We were gonna pass it in quotes, and then the name of the view. view or space, dot space, name of the view. If you had a different name, but then since it's the same name, we don't have to pass anything. We just leave it at that. It just knows, it's gonna go look for the name of the view name display and then render the view. And then inside our view, let me just zoom out quickly. And then inside our view, it's just simple stuff. The view is made up of HTML and C Sharp, and all of this is powered by the Razor View engine. What is the Razor View engine? It allows you to write C Sharp code and HTML code on the same page, right? So the same file. And the best way to check where Razor is used or Razor syntax is used is to see the @ sign. So you see the @ sign, and then there's a yellow that actually symbolizes, okay, the Razor syntax has been used. Right. So that's why we were able to call in stuff like HTML.textbox4. These are HTML helpers, right? But those exist within the Razor View engine. And also we can even put for loops. If you wanted to, we could have like put loops and stuff using the Razor syntax. Right. And if you check here, we started our form on line 6, started our form, say using begin form. We called in the name of the action method that's gonna render the stuff that we want, and then we call in the name of the controller, and then for method dot post, and then here these are 2 paragraphs for those guys who are familiar with HTML, just simple stuff, nothing fancy. 2 paragraphs, and we named we put the markup text there called enter, and then instead of passing in a text box. Actually, this is a label, HTML.label4. We put the first property, and then we renamed it to first number, and then the same thing goes with the other. Same thing goes with the other paragraphs. So we put two properties and rename both of these properties, and then we put text boxes, right? And those text boxes are going to send data. Are going to send data where to these 2 properties that we renamed on the labels. Then here we have submit, which is a button, right? Input type submit, so name our button calculates, and then the last paragraph is where we're displaying our total. That's just a whole rundown of our application. So I don't know if some of you guys get confused or anything, just leave it in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer it, right? Or just go to our socials. We're there on Twitter, literally on Twitter. That's where we sleep. We're trolling Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter or comment in our posts on any questions that you had or any suggestions, right? And then now to check if this application really works, for those joining in for the first time, they want to see this calculator that people keep talking about. Actually, that I keep blabbing about. So there are 2 ways I could run this application. I could run it the good old-fashioned way. Come here, the green button at the top, and click here and click run. Right, so I could do that, but then, hey, we're just trying to prove here that you can do some cool stuff with .NET Core. So I'm just gonna go run this on the terminal. Because remember what I said on the first episode about .NET? I said .NET runs everywhere, especially .NET Core. It's cross-platform. It runs literally even on the command line. On your PlayStation 4, like, yeah, it runs everywhere. So I'm just gonna go to the command line because that's just where I like to run it. So here I've already CD'd or changed the directory to the exact location where my project is. If you see here, this is literally the path. It's in documents, MLSA stuff, Azure Fridays, Core MVC app. That's where I store my projects. That's where this project is stored. So I'm just gonna type in this command, .NET run, and press enter. So .NET is gonna build my project and run it or serve it through a port. It's gonna run it, build it, and serve it from a port through the terminal. If you check here, my project is running on localhost 5000. So if I come here, I'm just checking, you guys can see, so I'll make sure. If I come here on my localhost 5000, if you check here, this is a clickable link, right? This is a clickable link. It becomes unaligned. And the reason why that is happening is because I'm using the preview version of the Windows terminal, which is, I think it's version 12. I can't remember the version number. But then this is the preview version. It's way nicer. The links are clickable here. You don't have to copy and paste, So I just come here, and then as soon as I click the link, it opens my browser. Right. Now when it opens my browser, I'm like, hey, there's no calculator here. What's going on? You promised a calculator to it. What's the calculator? Now on .NET Core, the application when you create a MVC application .NET, they give you a predefined templates, right? Which you can add, which you normally build on top of. It's just much easier to build on top of templates, right? It's just empty templates. There's nothing here. Welcome, learning about building web apps with SP.NET Core. The only thing that's ours here is this title, Core MVC app, which is the name of our application class. Now, in order to go access our application, remember I said the controller handles what is going to be rendered on the view. It handles the user interface, right? So our application doesn't know which controller to start with, because by default it starts with the controller that's just pre-generated by the templates and then renders the stuff. Right. So the two options we can set this up. Firstly, let's just force it to manually render what we want. So the first thing we want to do is add the controller and then the action method. Just because remember the controller can have multiple action methods. Could be action methods to display data, could be an action method to send data to a database or delete, even better if you have a database. So now in this case we have an action method that just pulls data from the model and then spits it out on the user interface. Now the name of our action method is display, if I remember correctly. Display and then press enter. And then our calculator here, it should be served. Okay, there it is. And then let's check if it actually works. So we're just going to test out 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5. And then our answer should show up here. Oh, there it is. There's our answer here. Let's put it there. So our calculator actually works, right? But now the biggest question is like, okay, what if I wanted to make my application display the calculator page or the user interface at startup, right? As soon as I launch my application, I set my calculator, I'm ready to use it. Because I cannot ship this to production looking like this. A normal user wouldn't know how to access this calculator, right? So we're just gonna go back to our application. I saved this for the show because I wanted to show you most of you guys. Because some would just get confused of like, okay, I've seen websites where I just go in and then as soon as it loads, I get what I want. Now we're just gonna go set that up quickly, right? We're gonna go to .NET Core. Things are a little bit fun, right? I know some of you guys in .NET Framework you start looking at me weirdly how I'm doing things, but hey, this is .NET Core. We're the .NET Core kids here. We're the cool kids in the block. So on .NET Core, you go to the bottom of your files or folders. There's something called starter.cs, and then you just click it, and then you scroll down towards the end, and then here in one of the endpoints, it's telling us how our application starts, right? So one of our endpoints maps to a controller route, and the route is the URL, not a fancy word of saying URL, right? And then if you check here, there's something that says saying controller. Just make sure you see this. If you check here, something that says controller. If you check here, there's something that says action. And then what do we know about controllers? Okay, hey, we can put the name of our controller here. Hey, we can put the name of our action method here. Now the name of our controller is what? It's add, right? It's add. So okay, before I change this, what are we actually changing here, Narcisse? What do you think we're actually changing here?
We're changing the startup of our program of our system basically.
Yes, thank you. That's correct. So yeah, remember when I told you that when you create an MVC application, they give you a predefined template, and empty one doesn't have anything on it, but then it doesn't mean it doesn't have controllers. It also has controllers and action methods. So now by default, there's a controller that's called home, and then the action method is called index. That's the same controller and action method that rendered an empty page that popped up on the startup application. So now we want to change that. We want our application to start up at the calculator page. The name of our controller is add, and then the name of our action method is display. And you have to make sure this is the same spelling as your actual controllers and action methods, and the same case sensitivity. Yeah, the same case. Yeah, I think that's correct.
It's correct.
That's correct. So I'm gonna save this. Control S, Control S, or you could just come here. If you're lazy, come here. It also be save here. Always save here.
Save startup.
Okay, I don't know. It's supposed to be save here somewhere. But okay, yeah, save startup. Yeah, save startup. But I know I like using shortcuts, so I'm just like Control S. And if you check here, it's literally telling me, hey, items saved, right? Items saved. So it shows that my saves were saved. All my changes were saved, right? So I'm gonna go back my terminal and stop the application by typing in uh by typing in how is this not working? By typing in Control C. I'll show you this command by typing in Control plus C. Control plus C. Stop our application. Stop our application. That's Control C. And then I type just Control C and stops, and then I'll start it again. Start it again. So it's gonna build and run my application. And then I'm gonna go back to port localhost 5001 actually, because this is more secure HTTPS, which is HTTP secure as compared to the normal one, which is HTTP.
That's the thing about .NET Core as well.
Yeah, .NET Core is
HTTPS.
Yeah, by default, your applications are on HTTPS, which means it's secure. No more hackers trying to, hack your application. So we're just gonna click it and see if this actually worked. Fingers crossed. Oh, look at this! Look at this! So, look at this. These are two windows, right? Let me just click here. These are two windows. Here, localhost 5. Okay, the application changed, so I can't really show the difference. But if you check here, this is localhost 5000. I didn't have to I didn't have to add additional parameters in the route to just render what I want. It's literally serving on localhost 5000 now, 5001 by default. Right. Even if I close this, even if I close this, go back to my terminal, click it again, by default it runs on localhost 5001. So I hope you guys check that out. It's really cool. To check if my application still works the same, right? So I'm gonna say 5. Let's just say 5 plus. What number now? What numbers do you want us to add some around?
20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's put 20. We should get 25. Oh, there we go. 25. 25 is actually there. So this is great. Application actually works. .NET Core. Go team. So that's basically what we did. Now, Narcisse is going to show you how to do the same application with .NET Framework. Just you're going to see that there's a couple of differences there on how I did it with .NET Core and .NET Framework, right? And also one more thing before I go there, if you check on .NET Core on my controllers, we have I action results instead of action results. I don't know if you see the difference here. We have I action results and action results. The reason why I didn't use I action results because it does the same thing, right? It's just explaining the was going to lead to a different topic, which is beyond the scope of what we want to teach you. We're going to jump into that later on once you guys understand what .NET Core is and how it works. But yeah, just notice those minor differences. Over to you, Narcisse. .NET Framework people.
Yeah. I'm also a .NET Core fanboy, but just for the sake of helping our fellow friends here, I will introduce .NET Framework for today's episode. And I have to say that most of our episodes that we'll be running on Inspire SA will be done on .NET Core. So we're just doing this to help you transition because .NET Core is modernly used today, like the latest version of MVC that is used. So that's why we prefer to show you how to use it and keep you up to date with it, with all the latest change in the tech world, So that's why we're doing it. Not that we're saying forget about what you're being taught at school. No, we're not saying that. Remember, it's going to be important, but at the same time, keep up to date with what's happening in the tech world. That's what we're all about, Inspire SA. It's our job to keep you updated, So yeah. Speaking about update, I saw Tori over there was using Visual Studio 2019. Old days. It's still last year. And now today I'll be using Visual Studio 2022. It's still under preview. But it's gonna be launched soon. I don't know when, but I don't care as long as I have it and I'm testing it. And that's all that matters. So enough talking. Let me share my screen and we will get started. And you touched on some pretty interesting stuff, Tori.
Uh-huh.
Really, it really touched on some interesting stuff. So now we're gonna get to see how exactly it's done on Visual Studio 2022. Um,
Okay, that's
I
just
wanted you to see the loading of Visual Studio 2022, but it didn't load on my on it loaded on my full screen. So now I've just put it into Visual Studio. I just switched to my second screen basically. So yeah, this is it. Um, Same as usual, no differences. I'm gonna start by creating a new project, starting from scratch. Tori, you might have to help me out of here because it's been a while since we've coded, here and there. So
of
if I
course
make
teamwork.
mistakes in there, yeah.
Teamwork makes the
And
dream work.
and also the weather is not good this side as well, so I might be getting kicked out of here and there. So you might just have to take over if that happens. If that
Okay.
happens. Awesome.
Fingers crossed it doesn't happen. Fingers crossed.
Come on, laptop. Come on. So the thing about Studio 2022 is that it's also running on 64 bits. That means if you have a 64-bit machine, it's gonna load even faster than how it was loading on the 32 bits. So that's one of the
Oh,
advantages as well.
that's
So
exciting.
it launches in seconds, bro. I wanted to show that, but it launches in seconds.
I think I might have to,
Um,
update my 2019 to 2022 after all. Let's see.
true. Okay, it's acting up. Let me just call my friend tax manager and restart everything again because I do not understand.
No problem. Take your time. Take your time. And for those guys who are wondering, what does it mean when you're saying Visual Studio 2020 is running on 64 bits? Uh, but previously it was running on 32 bits, which meant it was primarily built for systems who ran 4 gigs at max, literally 4 gigs at max on RAM, 4 gigabytes of RAM at maximum, right? So regardless if you had 16 gigs of RAM or more, Visual Studio was only making use of 4 gig, right? Hence why I was loading up slower. For those people who are using exactly 4 gigs of RAM, the entire PC is froze, right? So now that you're using the one that use 64 bits, it takes advantage of all the hardware capabilities. If you're running 64, or if you're running 16 gigs or more, Visual Studio is going to take advantage of all the RAM power, the memory power you have, making your programs boot faster, your builds, all of that. It's just making your development experience much way smooth and seamless, you know. But yeah, let's just see what they have in store for us. I've done a framework. It's been so long since I touched on a framework, okay? It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been
like
missing us, I guess.
like even the code is starting to look funny now. When I'm looking at code from .NET framework, I'm like, okay, oh, this is how we used to do it. And it's funny I'm saying this because we usually did this last year at campus, and I'm like, how? Because I'm doing my third year. We're doing third years, guys. We're not like oh, we're still students like you. We're doing third year. So yeah. Or should I
So
say we're sophomores? I don't know. That's what they call them. Or seniors.
So thanks for that, Tori. So here's the project launch. I'm sure Tori has told you how to get used to this already. Um, so if you're the more experienced one, you can just choose whichever template you want and get started with. But since we're doing for everyone, we're gonna do the safe way. So you just come here, choose your language. After choosing a language, let me zoom in. Um, Zooming in. So I've zoomed in, and then
Yeah,
after that,
we are
oopsie.
zoomed in, yeah. Right click. Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me just do it this way. So you choose your language, and then you choose where exactly you want to launch your platform. I choose Windows and project type. We're doing a web application, so we choose web at the end, and now it gives us some templates over here. So you got if we zoom in, .NET Core Web App, Blazor. We're gonna do Blazor sometime in the future. Core MT, Core MVC model controller, and now we're gonna be choosing .NET Framework. .NET Framework, and it's all the way down there. So yeah, you have to go all the way down. to just get .NET Framework. Where's .NET Framework?
I have to scroll
Co,
down. Just go a
co,
little bit down.
co, 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 co. Mm, mm. Whoa, looks like I didn't install it. I didn't install .NET Framework.
Let's just
Okay.
install it now then. What, like, why wait?
Yeah. Let me just double check that I have it. ASP .NET Framework. Yeah, I have it. As you can
Oh, you
see,
have
you
it.
see, searching also helps you easy. Yeah. So there you go. It's supposed to look like that. ASP.NET Web Framework, and now we're gonna choose MVC. Right? We're gonna choose MVC. Um, you choose Web Application, and you go next. Web Application. We're gonna name it Calculator App. I'll try and be
Calculator.
fast. Yes. Place in the same directory. Continue. And now we have to choose our model. So in the .NET Core story was showing us it already does all of this for you. But now since we're still in the olden days, we have to choose which framework we want to deal with, which design platform we want to deal with. So I'm choosing MVC framework just to see you got MT, web forms, etc., web API. I'm choosing MVC, right?
Okay.
And then over here on the site settings, authentication, we'll deal with it later on. MVC and Docker support will also deal with it later on, and unit testing later on. So configure HTTPS as well, and we get started. And then we'll start with .NET Framework. Our aim today was to show you the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework and show you a bit of GitHub, but looks like at the time it's already 30 minutes in, so we'll see how it goes. We're not rushing, we're learning in the duration that we have set. It's not a rush or
Okay.
anything. So yeah.
No problem.
Um, whilst we're waiting for the program to load, a story was showcasing some of the features of Visual Studio 2022. Another feature is AI. I'm part of the AI Tuesday, and I'm pretty passionate about this. Visual Studio 2022 comes with the intelligence that's able to predict your next line of code. Like literally, it predicts the next line of code that you're gonna write, or it thinks that you're gonna write, and all you just have to do is press tab for it to write itself, and that's pretty cool. I hope we can get to witness it over here because I wanted to show you on Tuesday, but hey, it was not out there on Tuesday. So come on, I just wanna. I don't know. It's taking too long for like Terry spoke about excitement. Now the excitement is coming to me as well. I'm starting to feel that same excitement.
Are you
Come
getting
on.
goosebumps? You can feel it in your skin, eh?
Yeah, hey.
I just wait for
Okay.
those files to build.
Yeah.
Uh, generating the
So
templates.
true. Okay. So it's loaded on my other screen here. Let me bring it over this side. Okay. Yeah. So there's it here. So
Okay.
here's my the application loaded. I'm gonna start here on the right hand side. I'm gonna start here on the right hand side to show you exactly how to get started. Mm, see, pressing the wrong button. Over here, we have the Solution Explorer. The Solution Explorer is where you find everything
Oh,
related to your program, right? And then we have connected services, properties, app data, app start, content controllers, fonts, models, script views, favy icon, global packages, web config, and it all sounds gibberish. Don't know what it means, but don't worry, we're here to take you step by step what it means. So if you look at connected services, these are all like the APIs that you're going to be using in your application. So right now we have no connected services, that's why it's empty. So if we click on the properties, we have the assembly. So it has the information about exactly how your system or your MVC application is gonna start up. The assembly information of your system. I'm not gonna go into that much. And then we got references, other references that is gonna use throughout the program. So if you look at it, you see and Microsoft C Sharp, you see all of this extra stuff that is gonna need to make your application run. That's using making reference of it. It's listed there, and we're gonna close it. There's a lot app data. So Tori spoke about so app data is basically where if you have a database in your system, it's going to be showing in app data. App data is empty because we don't have no database in our system. And now we have app start. So if you go to app start, we have button config, filter config, and root config. So towards the end there, Tori was telling us about root config, about making the program start up at a specific page. And that's where we get to change it on root config. So you can see that there's quite some differences in .NET Core and .NET Framework, as you can see. Now let's just check one by one. Must we check one by one, Tori? What do you say? Or we must just skip straight to the stuff? So
I just say let's
if you
let's
look,
just scan right into it.
awesome,
Okay,
awesome.
that,
So
that works.
yeah, okay. So basically in this one here, bundle config, it's all the JavaScript code that you're gonna have in your application. You're gonna add it over here in bundle config. It has all your JavaScript related stuff and your bootstrap, right? If you go to your filter config, do you remember what the filter config does? I'm not really quite sure, but we'll
It,
get back to that. Yeah, sorry.
that's beyond the scope of this episode, eh? It's
Yeah.
beyond the scope of this episode.
So just in a few moments back, we saw about how the root config actually works, right? So um, right click. So over here, you can see we got controller is equal to home, action is equal to index, and URL parameter optional. And now in .NET code, it had all these endpoints and everything like that. Wouldn't you say that this is much simpler to understand here compared to .NET Core? I'm just
I
saying
mean,
it's much more
I mean,
simple over
I
here.
mean, it's okay. Don't get me wrong, but then you gotta move. You gotta move with what's moving, eh? Still the same stuff, though. I mean, if you understand core, you can still
Yeah.
understand framework.
So
It's still the same stuff.
yeah.
It's still the same stuff. But like, if you
So
understand
I'm not
framework,
gonna
you understand core.
true, true. So I'm not gonna change my root config for now because there's no need to. So here's my bootstrap that I have here on the side bootstrap. And then we have our controllers, our fonts, where we put all our fonts that we're gonna use in the application. We got our models that we're gonna make. And as you scroll down, we also got some scripts where all our JavaScript is. And after the scripts, we have the views and the icon and the web config. The web config is where all the information about your application in one folder. Without the web config, your application won't run. Just note that if you don't have a web config, your application won't run. So I've talked too much and make you get used to .NET framework. Now let's get started. So we're gonna come here to our models and create our class. Tori explained what a class is. So more like a model. So our class is basically our data source, as Tori mentioned, data source. And now I'm gonna name this data source add or calculation because we're making a simple calculator. Calculation and create it. So our model has been created, and now we have to set everything that we're gonna need for our system, or we're gonna need. So the first things first, we're gonna create our variables. So public string, public integer. Well, can you see my code? Is it too small or let me zoom
Um,
in?
Increase it to 120. Yeah, that works also.
Yeah, let me put it like that. Public int um, a, and then get set, and then enter. Oh, forgot to come over here.
It's a semicolon, yeah. You see, it's
So
just the shortcuts. Prop.
Public int B. Okay, and then the one to answer. Public answer. So Tori was talking about a shortcut over there, which I'm not aware of. Public int.
She check out one of the other episodes, eh? Come back from AI Tuesdays and go check out Azure Fridays, eh? There's some interesting stuff there.
True, like I said, I just joined the team, hey. That's it. And after that, we make our method. So in the previous episode, Tori spoke about method. Method is like a set of code that does a specific a specific action or function that you want it to do. So I'm gonna create a method that will just do a simple addition. Public int public int sum, right? And yeah, there's no need for get set, right? So you just say public int sum and open your brackets, your begin and end, right? And public int. So sum, we're gonna create a local variable. Sum is equal to A plus B, right? A plus B. Oh, where am I? Hey, you see when you haven't coded in a while, this is what happens. This is what happens. So int sum, right? Int sum.
This is internal there. Okay.
Yeah. Int sum.
Initialize it. Go
initialize
it.
What do you mean initialize?
Initialize it. Remember, it's an integer. It hasn't been initialized, so it has to be equal to 0.
Oh.
Since it's inside a method, remember?
True that. Thanks for that. Int sum is equal to 0, and then sum is equal to A plus. Why isn't it reading? Did I forget something in my method here?
Brackets. You forgot brackets. Remember, this is a method. You put brackets. Open and closing brackets next to. Yeah. There we go.
Thank you for that. The parameters. The parameters, basically. So we have no parameters. That's why the brackets are empty. Sum is equal to A, right? Now it's picking up plus B, right? And then return.
Oh, in lowercase.
Return sum. So there we go. Yes, sorry, you want to add something?
No, this is nice. This is nice and clean. I like how the brackets look now on Visual Studio 2022. Even the icons are checked. This is actually nice.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Hey, it's really beautiful. So yeah, now I've added we've finished with our model. Let's create our class. Our controller. So you come to the controller folder and add a new one. I'm adding a new controller. So one thing about MVC, I don't know if Tori told you, the thing about MVC is that you can scaffold your content. What do I mean by scaffold? Scaffold means pre-create or let the Visual Studio create the code for you without you doing anything, right? That's what I mean by scaffold. So every time we mention scaffold, it means that the code will be created for you without you doing anything. You just choose here this, and then the code is going to be created for you. That's what scaffold means. You want to add on something, Tori?
Oh, that's something. That is really something. Because I remember when I was teaching this to my second-year students, hey, once they heard about the term scaffold, they never wrote code again. They just scaffolded everything. They abused, they spammed it pretty much. So it just takes me back. It just takes me back. It reminds me of my students, eh?
So in this case, I can scaffold the controller with the methods already created for me. But for the basis of learning, I'm just gonna create it from scratch. So I'm gonna choose an empty template. Choose an empty template, and then we're gonna name it the calculation controller. Since I've named my application calculation controller. It's scaffolding. And now let me look at better. Okay, so Tori already took you through most of the basics in about the controller, what the controller does, as explained earlier on. So here's our public index. So this one gets displays the view of this controller. So if we look at, so right now there's no, so if we, let me zoom in. So over here there's calculation, and inside the calculation there'll be a view for calculation, and there's no view right now. So if there was a view there, it's gonna this set of code will display it. So you see, everything is linked up one way or another. So after that, I'm just gonna copy this code, and I'm gonna write an action method of it, right? So I'm gonna write an action method of it. So public action result index, index HTTP post. So now this is a get. Sorry, did you explain the get and the HTTP?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Of course, I did. I had to make sure.
Okay, so if you're wondering what I mean by get and HTTP post, please go watch the previous episode because of time. This is it's a post method, HTTP post. It's posting to the view right now. So HTTP post. So how do I get HTTP post? I just put square brackets HTTP post. So as you can see, there was a list of, let me zoom in. So as you can see, there's a list of options that we have, but we're not looking for any of those ones. We're just looking for HTTP post. HTTP post. HTTP post. And why is this red over here? Oh, and one thing I also forgot. Sorry?
Carry on, carry on. You go.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that we must add our model over here. So we have to say using, right? Using the name of the application, which is calculator app dot models. So by saying that models, it enables us to use the models, all the models in the application. And I was asking, why is it still showing red? Well, why is it showing red? Sorry?
Just leave the red and pass in the parameters, like passing the arguments inside the parameters, the
Okay.
parentheses, passing
So
arguments inside the
now
parentheses.
we are now going to add our object, obj, objects. So this
No,
is obj
uh,
calc. Yeah, obj calc for calculation. So that's gonna be our argument. And now you see the error is gone away. So this one adds, this one fetches, and this one posts. So in order for it to post, it needs some arguments, as Tori said. It needs something in the parameters, as you've mentioned. So now I'm taking too much time. Let's get coding. So I'm gonna say calc is equal to right. Ooh, it's been
I
a while
thought,
since I've done this, hey? And it
yeah,
goes to show.
go to objects and put in the name of your model. Because remember, we're passing in the model bit, and then we're giving the model an object, right? So instead of objects, put the name of the model, and then where it's calc, put in objects.
Okay, so calculation, right? And
Yes.
Object,
And
obj.
then give an object is. Then yeah, we good.
So now,
Remember,
thank you for that,
look,
sorry.
same way makes a trademark.
Obj, thanks for that. Obj dot um a. So now we are fetching. So what we want to do is that whatever the user enters must be displayed onto the view. So we have to post the answer. So we're gonna say obj answer is equal to obj dot obj dot answer. That's redundant.
That's
Yeah,
redundant.
that's really redundant.
That's why I created a separate property to hold the answers on the model so that I can pass it there.
True. So that's what we're gonna do. Public int c and get. How are we doing for time, Tori?
Sorry.
How are we doing for time?
We 50 minutes and we have 10 minutes left, so we're almost done. Almost done.
Yeah. Objc. You see that we just created a new placeholder objc, and now we're gonna assign it to obj answer. So what's the name of our method? Our name of our oh, I actually did it, and you see, too much talking and not concentrating on the code. I said obj answer, obj dot answer, and is equal to obj sum dot sum. I created a method called sum. That's why. And yeah, so and then return view, return obj, return obj. So it's going to return whatever is being passed into obj to the view. So now, how do we create a view? So like as we talked about scaffolding, because of time, I'm going to make use of scaffolding. I'm just going to right click, right click and just say add view. And it's going to say an MVC5 view. This is an empty view, but I can choose to scaffold a view with already pre-written code. So as you can see, which template do I want to use? I want to use, they can create, delete. All of this we'll talk about later, but empty without a model. So now I'm going to say empty, but using a model. And our model is calculation. So whatever is in our calculation is going to appear in the view. And yeah, let's see how exactly that works out. Because of time, I won't have time to code the view. I won't have time to code the view, and model view back is equal to index. So now the title is index. So we spoke about the view back last time. I'm just gonna add the code to display. So now the first thing we're gonna do is using, I'm gonna say add. You see, it already says add model dot calculator models dot calculation. It's already making use of the model that we're gonna be using. So now I'm gonna say add using. Totally spoke about razor syntax. I'm making use of it now. HTML,
Yes.
HTML dot begin form, and then after that, it's um the name of the method and the controller that you want. So the name of the method is index. So it must be in inverted commas, index,
Yeah, Doug.
index, and then comma, the name of the controller. The controller is calculation.
Yeah.
Calculation, calculation. And then after that, you press say comma again, and then form method dot post. Form method dot post, as you can see, form method dot post. And yeah, and after that, you open your begin and end. Begin and end. Apparently, the AI didn't want to show up today. I don't know why. I really do not know why it didn't want to show up today. But it showed up in my other projects. I'm so sure I'm finally gonna see exactly how it works. So now we're gonna quickly do the code. Gonna put our P paragraphs, our P elements basically for those who do HTML. P elements begin and end. Enter HTML label 4. So when you say HTML label 4, it means that take whatever is in the class and display a label for it. Dot label, right? Dot label 4. Label 4. And now we have to assign it to something. So I'm gonna say X, right, is equal to lambda sign is equal to greater than X
5 minutes
dot.
left.
Yes, I'm just gonna copy and paste the code now, and before we run it, and then after that you say comma, first number, because it's a string we have to put it in inverted comma. First.
So I have a suggestion here, right? Like since time is against us, and then the code in the view is the same. Let me take my code and then paste it on the view and just add some of your stuff, right? Because it's the same. It's literally the same.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, take that. It's there. I just sent it to you. Check right now.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. You see, teamwork, guys. Teamwork.
Teamwork. Because I checked. It's literally the same. On the view, nothing changes. It's either on core framework. It's the same thing. Just take it there and just add your stuff, and just go remove. Just go remove everything and then just add and edit your stuff there, because it literally does the same thing.
So that's another thing about coding. Whatever project you're doing, it's already been done before.
Oh yes,
that's whatever project you're doing, it has been done before. So basically, it's all about copy and paste. Basically, copy and paste.
It's reuse. That's a correct word. Reuse.
Finished.
Reuse. I like to say reuse.
Why don't you want to be honest and with them? Just say copy and paste.
Because copy and paste, people might get like the wrong understanding. You know, they might get the wrong understanding. I think that's answer there.
Yeah, I use some on my one.
I think it's answer. Go check on your controller. Go check on your controller.
Controller. Oh yeah, obj.answer.
It's answer.
Yep.
There it is. There's
yeah. No, it's fine. So thanks for that, Tori. So now let's run our application. There's still more to do. So basically, there's different ways of running it. So basically, I'm gonna just say Control F5, Control F5, and I'm gonna debug the application, and it's gonna run just now. So Tori was running it using the command line interface. For a reason I won't specify why on while we're here. And then I'm running it with debug version. Debug version is Controller F5, or I can just build it, as you can see. So now it's running. I have to accept the certificate. Must I tell them why, Tori, exactly you're running it in the terminal?
For starters, the terminal boots up way faster than Visual Studio. It's much way faster. But then now, since that you're saying Visual Studio is using 64 bits, so things should be a little bit quicker. You know, I like to do things faster. You know, because I have a lot of work on my plate. I just like to execute things, you know, faster. Okay, there's an error. It's telling us exactly what. Oh, yeah, you need to go change your controller name in the action there on line 12. Line 12, go there on the parameters. Go put your controller there, because I put my code display. It's my control. No, the sum is correct. The sum is correct. Go there.
Yeah,
The only error was okay. What did you do now?
I prefer to copy and paste and answer, but yeah.
Okay.
So I had the code already written down, and then before I pasted your one, so I just copy and pasted that same code. So yeah,
Okay.
instead of me typing, I just copy it and paste, and then run it.
Yeah.
So but another feature about .NET Visual Studio 2022 is that I just need to save the application, and it's gonna kick in already when in my running application. So as I've just saved it, I've saved the application. Let me save it, and then when I
Build
go back
again.
to okay, it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
work.
Uh,
So now I have to
save
start again.
save and build.
Yeah. Mm. You see, guys, when we say coding is not for the faint of heart, this is the reason why. You can spend 3 hours for a simple error like this, as you can see.
There's
So
an error
you
there.
have to be
Wait. Go down there on the what you call this tab down there. It says there's one error. There's one error in your application. Click there. It should show you exactly where the error is. Click it. Double click there.
um line one.
Check line. Oh, I see what the error is. There's supposed to be a curly brace after line 22. Go put a curly brace after line 22 because all of this needs to be inside a form. After line 20, after line skip. Yeah, put a curly brace there. Close and curly brace. Yeah, and then that should go build again and run.
Thank you
Then
for that.
go back to your browser. They should
Yep,
run
there we go. There we go. So
now.
as you can
Message
see,
him.
okay, I'm in the wrong place. So as you can see, how .NET Core, .NET Core and .NET Framework is different. Yeah, in .NET Framework, everything's so plain. It's really plain compared to .NET Core. .NET Core's one is pretty cool, as you can see. Application name, home, about, contact, etc. So now we're gonna put the first name, first number, 22, and then 5. Let's see if it works. Calculate. The answer is 22.
So it
This
actually
is
works.
odd.
Wait, what's the
Yep.
answer?
Let's put 3. So something is wrong with my code that is not working properly. I wonder why
Yeah,
it may be.
go check on your model.
I want model calculation with CS. Sum
Calculation.cs.
is
Yeah.
equal to A plus B. Yeah. Oh, I didn't set my thing to answer.
You didn't set your.
Wait. No, it's correct. It's correct.
That's correct.
We're
It's
gonna
probably
spend time. Sorry.
it's probably like a runtime. It's probably a runtime error. It's probably a runtime error.
Yeah.
But then the gist is the same. I feel like the gist has been passed. Like the people understand now what's going on with .NET Framework and Core. So you can
True.
accomplish the same task with Core and Framework. But as you can see here, Narcisse has been battling a lot with .NET Framework. So that says something about it. It says something about .NET Framework. If you check on Core, everything was just seamless. But we have come to the end of the show. We're already an hour in, and we don't want to drag this any longer, right?
Hmm.
Really, really hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did, because we're still gonna do some more of the stuff next week, and actually not only next week, this entire week. That's gonna start off next week. We really hope to see you guys, and thank you for watching. Some of you guys are watching from home, some from other countries, and you can always reach us. Our social media handles are literally on the screen. Mine is like right here, or it's like right here, and then Narcisse handle is like this side,
It's there at the
this side.
bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom. You can just click it. It's there. You can reach us there and ask us about anything that's happening on the channel. And make sure to tag at Inspire SA on Twitter when you publishing something or you want to add something onto what we talked about. So yeah, thank you for watching. Really hope you understood what we were telling. We really want to
Mm,
show you some stuff about GitHub, but then time was against us. So we're gonna have to make a dedicated episode about GitHub and then the AI Narcisse
forget
was
her.
talking about. Yeah, and some more stuff that Visual Studio 22 has to offer, you know.
Mm,
So it was a lovely show. Anything in the last words, Narcisse?
awesome. Yeah, we're gonna build up on MVC and web application. We're gonna build up on it, and there's only one more framework left in the .NET ecosystem, which is Xamarin. So we're gonna spend a quite some while in the web application because there's a lot to cover before we jump onto Xamarin. So a lot of awesome things that's coming ahead, and I'm pretty excited to get started. And this is just a taste of what is yet to come.
Of course. Anyways, we'll see you guys on Monday on interview Mondays. Make sure you be there and see some cool stuff. Sometimes it won't even be an interview. You don't know. You don't know what we have in store. So be there.
Awesome. I'll see you.
Thank you.